Hey people, I know I just said I was going to get away from here, but I got to show you a better definition for this cataclysm. I just found this. I was fixed to leave here, and remember I seen something in one of these numbers I wanted to show you. This is an ancient Sumerian story, and it's going to tell you where all these words come from. You know, in the Sumerian tablets, there was a story about Aya, and his name was always changing for the last thing that he got in trouble for. He was always screwing up. And that's the Shem. That's what that means in the Hebrew. It's just the SM, and it's the same word for name. And that's what Shem means, is the name. And it means shame, and it also means similar. And so this old Aya, he was staying in trouble for his Genesis. He was the creator God. And he had a problem. He was always, when he was to smack it on, it a nottage in nice. And so this is where your word niece come from. I was telling you that last movie that at the bottom here, everybody marries their niece, and all the kings, they used to marry their niece. And so when they procreated, it was again niece it on. And so this word here, this is a key. And you know how you see old writings, and instead of the first letter, it'll have a picture, and that letter will be drawn in that picture. And sometimes you can't even make that letter out, and you have to read on down before you figure out even what that first letter was. And that's what this key is. It's just a single letter Vav. It's a W, a V, or a U, and it can mean and. But most of the time, it's going with this next word, and this is a vaughtage. And so a vaught, a V-A-U-T, is where your word devout comes from. Anything close to it, and it means, what's over your head. The vaughtage, the contract held above. And it might look like this in a legal document. The key just means connected, and of, A-V, A-B, the father, and to, connected father to, and a tui, the one being the kid, he's a tui, and connected of tui, and fathered Aya. And so this is stretching out. You see it in every chapter. There's be a word stretched out that you don't quite get. You don't get it till you get to the last line of that paragraph or that little chapter. And so the vaughtage again is his seam, S-E-M, and then U-H-N, his semen, his generations of Shem, his semen. It's the S-E-M and the E-N. And so it's also, the vaughtage of Aya, and the genes, the genes. And that's where your word genes comes from people who don't understand how to read that. But when you have the N-E, it actually becomes the B or the V. And that's why it looks like a V. And this becomes the gives. And gives his semen. And gives his semen. And the vaughtage Aya gives his semen. And the vaughtage Aya gives his... the shame to, the name to, the shame when, W-H-N, the shame when smack it on, S-H-M-E-K-A-T, the smack it on it, a nottage in niece, and the vaughtage Aya gives his semen. Smack it on a nottage, something naughty, an N-O-T-E-E-J. Or, to smack it on a nottage is an extra distance that you're going to have to sail. Or $100 bill, to smack it on it, a note. And I read this, in nice it on, being there's a double N here. From Middle English, from Old French, simple, foolish, ignorant, or to make nice, delightful, friendly, kind. But I'm pretty sure the way this is reading was the Vodage, age, AIGE, the age of Vesses, fills his shame. When smack it on it, a nottage, in nested on. To smack it on a note again, niece it on. And that's where it comes from. That's where your word niece comes from, because they all procreated with their nieces. And you see that in the Hebrew all the time. They just interpret these names as just a piece. And the name actually means the shame when smack it. The shame when smack it on. Talking smack. And in the Hebrew, everybody's name was just a small part of a big long of the smack it, on the nottage, on the bad thing you had nottage in, on the bad thing you had did with your niece it on. And the vodage, gives his semen. The smack it on it, a nottage and nice it on. Our facts add. He couldn't deny it because our facts add, do it row. Do it row. A row is the semen of a fish. And Ea was the ancient fish god of the oceans. It was the ancient fish head god. And due to its row, and our facts had the facts due to the row it of submit, to submit it on. His semen, his row, it of submit it on, the year after the flood. To submit it on, kata, is courting to. And it's where your word catalog comes from. And it means everything, cataloged in its place. And it's, sometimes they'll say this means under, kata, and it means, all the list of things that go under in that category according to. And the klusm on, the clue, the KLUSM, the klusm on. And so that was the story of Ea. The guy they said was Noah was Zeusudra, I think something like that. And it was his baby that was born looking like his stepdad, all white. And that's what this is. The Shemites are the Aryans. And it'll say it in the last line in this paragraph. It says it right out, Aryan. They tried to remove it. The double letter you read is an I, and it's the Aryan. And what on Aryan. You see they changed this by when they remove one of the R's. And so they're changing this story, from there is the bottom contest, and again the Nisidon, and ever what on knocker, what on or on, whatever him, what on and knockers. And so it's changing it from, this old Abram, he'll do whatever. I had knockers. And they're changing it from what on or white to what on or on any she has, any female. And you see that in the Hebrew, in the covenant of the rainbow. It doesn't say rainbow in the Hebrew. It's of the college digium by dicum intinu, by dicum, you control them and intinu. This cull up here is never all. It's a select, a cull or, select a light color. A clan is not every creature. It's just those selected ones in that group. And a class is just them certain types. Not everybody gets in the club. It's of cull, it's of the select, the fish him by dickum, by gives command, by dickum intinu, to continue. They are given, and the fish are given the dickum, the control. And this actually, it's not even the fish, it's the foot. of cull, the digium sounds like fingers, but D is through in the footwork, the digi. And it was the college, the cull, the foot him. That was ancient way of classification. Look at your foot and figure out where you come from. All the old people that could read this thought of the feet as fish. And had me of collegium by dicum intinu. And thus I establish my covenant with you. We committee at bear it yet come. We committee at bear it yet come. And that's where your word British comes from. And there's the ones that are going to bear it, the barrister. And it's easy to read this, Y-A-T, yet come. I have not yet, but will be, a British committee established. And a committee at bear it yet come. And lay critical. This is what you saw when Esau was trading his birthright. He had laid critical. He was about to die. But that's a good time to make a deal when somebody's about to die. And lay critical in shroud from my emble, and lay high-hoed from bullshit ears. So this is where your word high-ho come from. High-ho, high-ho, and off to work we go again and again. And it's the base word in there is yea, and is a yes folk, as in gladly hoed. But this word for the waters, this is from my emble, and so all the clues are here that tell the waters isn't here. The waters are here. My M is what they say is waters, and this dot here, these 3 M's, that's saying 3 waters, and it that's high waters. The 3 N's turns into the Mu, and that was the emblem of flood waters. The Egyptian god of Mu, Nu, was the flood waters, and my emble, and lay critical in shroud, and hide my emble. And so they found the emble of Nu all over Egypt, and it was all at a certain water line, and it was the critical mark. That was your third house when the water got too deep. My emble, the emble of Nu. And I had seen a video on it. I don't know why it's so hard to find now, but this is the Egyptian letter N, and 2 of them is Ni and I, and the third one is Nu. But the Egyptologists say when you add that third, it becomes a Mu, which just makes sense that Mu is the ancient word for water, the worldwide, and also Mu, the god of Atlantis, before it became the recreation god of Egypt. And some Egyptologists were saying they were finding this 3 Mu, Nu, Mu mark all around Egypt. And when they went to charting them on a map that had elevation lines, they found that, all these marks were following the same line around the city. And when they come back and shot elevation and everything, they found it was all lined up, and it was a high water mark. The water levels itself out. If I'm building something on water, I don't bring a level. I just measure down to the water line at both ends. And this is the other symbol we're going to read about in the same thing sometime. It's the symbol of occur. And it looked like this when you run into it without the I. But it all comes from the same base word, If you're in a hurry to get somewhere because you want to be there for the time at that occurrence. And they always say behind or after because you're in a hurry trying to catch up. And lay high, like high-hoed. High-hoed from bullshit, from bullshitters, from the bullshitteers. But this is the word, the crat. You see it all the time. Usually sits right beside the covenant, the Brit and the crit. And my rainbow I set in the cloud. It shall be for the sign of the covenant. But this is the fist, the fist in it, at fist in it tie. So they're mistaking this, with the bow when it is usually in the fist. But this is the writer, at fist fisting it tie, as the one with the pen in his hand, and that fisting it tie of light, of lighting, the white law, LAW, the law it of writ, Benny of in, the son of in, hearts. But yeah, the story says, that Aya had banged Zeosudra's wife, and the baby come out Cataclysm on, according to the Clusm on. He come out all white. And then you see the rest of this word for live, this more than live, it means more as ruled. And you see this mark above here, it tells you, this reads, W-E, the we says, S-E-Z, we says is has. And we is the ones that has the says, we are the rulers. And you see that in this last line of Genesis 5 where it keeps you in suspense, Why who willed not submit, come what if? Who will not submit, come what if? Come whatever, will not submit. What if, I-F-T. And, come what if, will submit, come what if is also to even think about it. And then it goes into this story of the wickedness of man, except it's called the fallen angels, It's where you occur be wrought. Where you occur be wrought. Wherever you're at, it's rotten, it's wicked. And then the Shem, Ham, and Japheth comes up one more time right after that. And it's, who willed the nose less of venom at submit, come what if. And who knows what less of venom, and he don't even know that it wasn't him that had submitted the come what if. It's like this both times, it's submit, come, 5 and 6. And then it doesn't talk about them again until they come out of the ark. And then it's written different. And the ones that came out of the ark was, who they've, why they've, who they've been in cheats, CHEITSAIM, in the cheats aim, the cheats of men, who they've been in cheats of men, cheatsum in it vesum, it vesum is to it fills them, that's where they get that ark from, it fills them, which mooey fit, which much fit, whichum who evicken on, which from who evicken, E-V-I-K-N, to putting out light on the light. Same as the story of Zeusudra, the kids come out white and shining with white hair. And you can see this in the naming of Noah. Noah's got a huge name. He was named this because shall comfort us for concerning of our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which is cursed Yahweh. That's what Noah means. His name Noah saying, because of this. He was called a fursum to know. And usually it's key here, because. But this is lammer, to holler. And you have to look closer in the Lamach to see why it was hollered. This is the last verse in the line of Adam. And so Witchell Max time was many a mission. By the time you're 80 years old, you done seen, was many of mission, 80 years. And with Max time was many a mission, whom at shine and shined and did a good job on all the missions that whom at shine that you are sent on, who willed of in. Your son is sometimes the one who was willed of in, not necessarily the son. The son is better off here. And a fur it's a knock. You can see here, this is the NOACH, or just the NCH. And a fur, it's some a knock, a knockalamer. And so I believe the word Enoch actually means, when holler, HLA, when holler more, when holler louder. And fursum, when holler more, is, or it. And is income new from motion. Is income new from motion. Enoch, INH, you see here. Enoch, the Enoch menu. And so Enoch, wrote the new calendar, due to come new from motion. And they'll teach us, that ancient people, they couldn't quite accurately figure the time, but there's an even better chance, that speed of orbits, revolutions, and spins can change. And is come new from motion to, and max in a need in women in the toil of our hands, because, and the max in a need in women had measure, of the ground, which had measure the area, ARR gives a IE, the area, had measure area U. As at her time of the month, the ground's cursed, and you give her distance, had measure area of the ground which is cursed. And so, NH is the cycle divide. And so this is more like the verb, and Enoch, the cycle divide, is the noun that come out of it. The new calendar, the cycle divide, Enochian. And you can see in this, this is the I dots underneath. There's the similar, the SM and a furitsum, and it's similar, or, tis him, toward him. And who affers it, the similar, the same, when holler, more, higher, is in common emotion, and mocks in needin', women had measure area you. In oxy is something concentrated. Come from the base word from the trees. And which'll make a hurry, who lied would knock. And you can see that's where Enoch comes from. When you read it with the tack, it's the HNH, the Enoch. And which'll make a hurry, who lied what knock. Comes what's of emission. The O is the of, what's of emission. And comes what's of emission. And comes motion. Who wield venom of in what? Who wield venom of in what? The ones you've been up in. Who they climb will make sieve of, was in of emission. So it wasn't dying. Emission, remission, is back, but was in emission is still climbing. And who they climb ill, the climb will make sieve of, was in of emission, and sieve of the motion, the MAUT, like a moat, the waters around, and the motion, the waters around moving, the motion who emit, the motion to emit. And yea, in who they knock, ben comes motion, who willed not some at come what if't. And so come what if't is, more like come, to make fit, FT. And when you're reading it with this backward, so you see it's WAT and then T. And so there's an I between the T and the P. and it's what type it fit. And that's what this all talked about, is putting everything, labeling everything and where it goes, and it's with its scientific name. The shem, the name, the chem, what divides from, what it comes from, and the type. And when you read it with all these upper markings, who will not, and you read it M from submit, will not from submit, from come what type it fit. And so the Arabs have a story of Jacob creating a white race. And you see that in the first story of Jacob in Laban, where he said, I'll take all the spotted and the striped sheep. And then he cooked up a potion so all the sheep were spotted and striped. And so if you're looking at something, you can categorize it, according to the clues I'm on. And when you go to putting it in the book, we put it, under category, according to, the call, the selected to the name. And so it looks like, the cataclysm was a flood of light on, according to the clues from light, according to the colors. And these has sesum, and these has sesum has sesum with to the genus, the type. That's why the difference between the H and the E, so it won't change this to a V or a B. And to the genus C, what to of tossed on, to the type of tossed on, are facts had. Fentu trichacanta and trichacuzis. You have 3 account and 3 accuse. And so the pent, that was fent, is where your word defend yourself comes from. The penitentiary, it was a picture of a knife. And so are the facts had, the fent to, TEW, to defend yourself on 3 accounts too, and 3 accusers. A is up in the courthouse and screwed up again. And 3 accusers set, a set who, then they set 3 accusers in front of you. The genes in, and they 3 accusers set who the genes in that he procreated. And to go us, VIO is to go, or via whose house. And to go us with WTHU, with together as, to go us with together as, swap, SWAP, attain. And so attain is not dead, but a swappa, together as swap attain, that's the children that come out together, a swap attain. So there's a possible chance that they were trying to create these stories to represent what was going on earth. But, the story follows what's going on in heavens, and they're trying to match the gods in heavens to the gods of the earth. And the gods of the earth are the plants and animals. The same word for God, Allah, is the same word for tree. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.